Hey folks, it's Laura with Rain Tree Nursery, and today we are at the gorgeous Songaya community in Bothell, Washington, with two members of the community.
Brian Bontenauer.
And
Patricia Newkirk.
This is a wonderful group of people all living together in a co-housing format. They have gorgeous gardens here, ornamental gardens and vegetable gardens, greenhouses and orchards and chickens, in addition to all of the other wonderful things going on. And there is an element to their edible landscape that I have not seen anywhere else. And so we wanted to bring you here and show you how they got it done. I understand that you have the first permitted food forest in Washington State. Is that true?
That's correct, Laura. Yep, the first one.
There is a story there. How did you decide that you wanted to do that?
Well, and it's actually not even our food forest. The land that it's on is the development strip between our property and the property which used to be forest that is now been reforested with this lovely food forest.
Oh my gosh, so you actually worked with a developer?
Yes, it took a long time, but we were able to get the developer once they knew that the cost of the food forest was going to actually be a bit less than the standard ornamental plants that they put in. They were all on board with it. In fact, the most important piece that we were able to do was to get the county to approve it. And once the developer was on board, the county came along. We did have to get the county a definition of a food forest so they could put that in the county records so they knew what they were approving. But
Okay.
Once we got that,
Definition of a food forest. Give me a quick definition.
the quick one would be a set of interconnected plants layered in a canopy that provide beauty and food for the neighborhood.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And there had to have been a process where you decided what to put in, right?
Yes, we actually had to design the food forest for them, and we did it for this strip. And then we turned that design over to the developer's landscaper to install.
Nice. So you got to pick the plants.
Yes. And we also recommended where they should purchase them because they don't purchase these kinds of plants normally.
Of course not. Yeah, it's not a big load of photinia, right?
That's right.
Wow. Well, can we see what you've done?
Sure.
All right, let's go.
All right.
So I have to say, having worked with HOAs in my past as a designer, I know how difficult these logistics can be sometimes, trying to get everybody on the same page. Tell me a little bit about the process. How'd you do it?
Well, we actually started before there was an HOA established. We were working directly with the developers.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, yeah.
And they weren't exactly willing to listen to us to begin with until we started slowing down their process.
A little bit of leverage there.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
judiciously applied.
Exactly.
Wow. And well, what did they want to put here? What was their plan?
Yeah, well, initially the edge of the property, which is right at where we're standing, would have been a 6-foot tall fence. And on the other side of that fence would have been another fence because they need to separate the two properties with the intention that, good fences make good neighbors. But we were arguing the opposite. And so through the whole process, we were very clear with them that we did not want a fence. Eventually, they came around, and between the two fences, if they had put those up, would have just been those ornamentals, which of course no one could have seen because they've been behind both of the fences.
Oh my gosh.
So instead, by opening this fence up and planting this food forest, we have the access to it here, and we also invite the neighbors over to access it as well.
That is wonderful. What a win-win.
Yeah.
That is great. And I understand that that the community has expanded into this new development too, right?
Yes. And that was part of the idea of not having a fence here, is that we didn't have to put another gate in a fence, which would have required a lot more approval.
Oh,
So with the fences here, they belong to the individual homeowners. And so the homeowners now that are part of the Sangaya community have installed lovely access points.
oh, perfect.
We access the neighborhood that way all of the time now.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
You must have had to have gone to meetings, city meetings and planning meetings. And...
Yes, many meetings. And most of those meetings, typically the planning meetings, are 2 or 3 people show up from the neighborhood. And we had about 40 people show up, as well as hundreds of letters, all of past residents and interns and everyone who loves Sangaya wrote letters about the importance of this community and in the whole area here. And so with that support, the developer saw the writing on the wall that they really needed to work with us.
Yeah. Wow. Nicely done. Elegant. Really nice.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the plants.
All right.
All right.
Should we go down
Okay.
there? So tell me about the different types of plants you have in this food forest.
Well, like in any food forest, we were looking at all the different layers that we wanted to have. And we have a few mature trees in here, but we also added a lot of other things. So we have apples, crab apples, plums, a peach, one of your favorites, the pawpaws,
This cherry.
and the cherry. And then we added a lot of currants, honeyberry, and then some of the lower ones, the lavender, oregano, which is so easy to grow and just goes crazy and makes a really lovely ground cover.
Yeah, nice. That's a good 3 layers right
Yeah.
there
Right.
of a diverse array of plants.
Yeah.
That's nice. And I also noticed that there are electrical lines up above this space as well.
Yes.
So planting for trees that don't get too big so that they don't overwhelm, the electrical lines would be part of what
Yeah.
you work with here too, yeah?
Well, then the normal planting in these strips is, the native trees, Doug fir, western red cedar, which would get huge and really interfere. But of course, with fruit trees, you want to keep them pruned to a height for picking. So it's a natural location to have a food forest.
And that's so wonderful because most people don't think of planting trees under power lines because they think they're just setting themselves up for failure.
Exactly.
But you make an excellent point that because you're in partnership with the trees anyway, because you're pruning them, it's an ideal place to put fruiting trees.
Exactly, yes.
So many different ways to break old thinking about how the built environment works.
Right.
I just think this is amazing. And what all does the community do with the food from this section?
Oh, everything from tinctures to jams, jellies, salsa,
And your beer.
and beer.
Oh,
So the apple trees, there's a great apple tree down there that makes just tons of apples, and we mix that up and make a lovely cider out of it, and it's fabulous.
and that's a
Yeah.
treat, no
Yes.
doubt.
Very easy to do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a tremendous and rich project this is. Okay, last thoughts. What are some of the long-lasting takeaways that you have about this project?
Well, I think the one that really speaks to me is that this 4,000 square foot plus or minus strip of land would have been completely inaccessible to us. And we use it. We harvest from it. We eat from it. We love it. We drive up the driveway and we see its beauty every day. We're in relationship to it. And that's important to us.
Yeah. Well, it's a community about people and things together.
Yes.
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Brian?
Well, I'm really excited that this project was done through the county and it becomes a model that other people can use.
Yes.
Snohomish County now has on their record that what the definition of a food forest is, and that it can be used in these setback areas between 2 developments. So it's open for anybody else who wants to do this. It's cheaper. It's just such a beautiful addition to the community. And as Patricia mentioned, we're involved with this food forest, and the neighbors are getting involved as well.
Wow, that is just so exciting. Warms my heart. So, for those of you who are interested in partnering with your local municipalities about how to put food forests in what would have been unused public spaces, you can look to Snohomish County Records and see what they have done. They can lead the way. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Laura and Brian and Patricia from Sangaya Community. We will see you next time.